Alright, so today's video might not be a short one, but it's just going to be simple. I decided I'm going to just tell some stories about from when I was in the Army. So I'm going to try and go chronological. And I don't really have many from basic training, but this one I thought was pretty funny. So we had this drill sergeant who was a typical drill sergeant, but he had a different mindset than some of the other ones. So towards the end, as we progressed and we got closer to like graduating, he left a radio in the room, and on the weekends when we would like clean rifles, or in the mornings getting ready to start the day, he gave us permission to turn on the radio. And around that time, it was like, what was it? Teach Me How to Dougie was a song. And we had this dude that would always dance, Billy Martin. He would always dance to the song, but that's not the story. Anyways, it was one weekend. The first sergeant was on duty, and he came into the barracks, and we were cleaning rifles, and we had the radio going. And he asked who gave us permission, and of course we all covered for the drill sergeant. And and he knew that, the first sergeant. So he made us turn it off, and he left. And that leads on to a bunch of things, but anyways, he got removed from the platoon, and we were kind of pissed, because we liked the guy. But fast forward to our last week there, we've got our berets. We're marching ourselves to the chow hall, and we go to the chow hall, and we see this drill sergeant, our old drill sergeant. We see him, and we were corny little soldiers, so one of the things we do, we see him, he sees us, and we call the platoon to halt the formation and do a half right face and drop in the front line of rest and start getting the push-up position. And he looks over, and he's got this big cheesy smile on, and he looks at us, and he walks over, and he goes, and tells us, "Get the hell up, what are you doing?" And he's like, "How's everyone doing?" "We're doing good, drill sergeant, we're doing good." And he goes, "Good, I like to see that. You guys getting ready to graduate, that's good." He was happy for us. And he goes, this cheesy smile comes back on, and he goes, "Watch this shit." And he goes to his new platoon, and he puts them all in a half right, drops them, and makes them start doing push-ups. And then he comes over to us, and he goes, "Hey, get in front of these sad sacks of crap," something like that. And so we marched in front of them, and that was pretty funny, because he was hard on us, just like any other drill sergeant, but he hated that new platoon, and I thought that was pretty funny. We all got a kick out of that. So then we fast forward after basic training to AIT, where we learn our job. And what happened there? Oh, there we go. So I get to Fort Huachuca in Arizona, and I get to my next duty station for AIT, and I got there on a weekend. I got there on like a Friday or Saturday. So I get there at night, see the acting sergeant that's in charge, and he checks me in. I think it was only me, and that was it. Didn't really tell me anything. So I just, enjoyed the weekend, whatever. Just stayed in my room really and hung out. Didn't really think nothing of it. I don't know why, but I had no guidance. And as a new guy in the Army, you kind of do what you're told, and not anything. You don't step outside the line. You just follow the path that's set for you. So, like I said, it was a weekend, so it's Saturday, Sunday, I'm not doing anything. I'm just in my room. Monday comes along. I wake up, bright and early at the crack of like 8, 9 a.m. Got my PTs on, my PT uniform. no standard dress, ACUs or combat uniform. And I would go down to the sergeant's office and I knock and introduce myself, and there's this one sergeant there. And I said, Private Mariano, I'm here reporting, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, Sergeant. And he goes, who? And I told him my name again. And he goes, you're that dumb motherfucker that we've been looking for. Where the hell you been all weekend? I'm like, I've been in my room. No one told me what to do. He's like, man, there's been like 6 formations. We've been calling your name, looking for you. I'm like, you guys gave me the room. Like someone checked me in. And anyways, he goes, well, your class has already started. They already left. So you get put in the hold platoon, which is, a platoon of people waiting for the next class, usually people that had medical issues or failed out. So already right off the bat, I'm not with the class I should have been with. I'm one class behind. And it's like probably a month later. And the whole platoon just does details, cleaning, sweeping, whatever. And he calls in the whole platoon leader, who's just more senior guy. And still a soldier in training. And he goes, find something for this guy to do. Actually, stand by, I know what he can do. There's a bush out back, and I don't like the way it looks. So Mariano, you're gonna go remove that shit. And this is Arizona, so I go in the back, and it's like a tumbleweed, but while it's still in the ground. This dry bush, and it's in there. It's not just sitting there, I'm gonna get it out easily, because of course I don't get a hatchet or an axe or a pick. I get a shovel, a blunt, round-tipped shovel. So here I am swinging this shovel with all that I've got, chopping this tree down like George Washington in a cherry tree. Or was that Abraham Lincoln? Just hacking this thing away and stuffing it in garbage bags. Day 1, first weekday of my day after basic training. And that was just, and I'll never forget that. I thought that was funny. Go remove that tree. And then another time, still in the same place, right after basic training, probably the second, third week there, I was into cigars. So I had ordered some cigars, and I had this really strong cigar, and I didn't think nothing of it. I'd been in basic training, and it'd been a few months since I'd smoked a cigar. And I wasn't paying attention, and I accidentally inhaled a little bit, and man, that rush of nicotine, I was up against the wall, just barely holding myself up, and the sergeant comes out and just looks at me and asks me if I'm drunk or high or what, and it's like, I think I just inhaled a little bit of too much cigar, Sergeant. And it's like, get the hell back inside, you dumb piece. Oh man, AIT, there was a lot of fun stuff, and we had good times. Then now we can fast forward to my first duty station in Colorado. So I don't know how long I was there before I bought my first vehicle, which was a 1970 Jeep. It was a manual, 3-speed manual. I'd never driven a manual before, so I was teaching myself how to do that. So I go out, find the Jeep that I like, and the guy kind of gives me a quick lesson on how to drive a manual. Hey, it's an old one, bulletproof transmission, don't worry about breaking it, you won't. And so I get it started, get it going, and get on the highway and go. And it's got some play in the steering wheel, quite a bit of play. So I'm hugging the side of the road nearest to the emergency pull-off, so that if I swerve a little, I'm swerving that way and not into traffic. And I get to the base, and I have to stop now. You know, anyone that's learned to drive manual, you know, stopping and starting is the hardest thing to do, especially for a beginner. So I pull up to the gate, give them my ID card, and here it is. I got to start. So I'm nervous. You know, I don't want to stall at the gate. Sure enough, I stalled. Boom. Okay, get it started. And I was more nervous the second time. So I just floored it, dumped the clutch in this old Jeep, and it chirped all 4 tires and just took off. I mean, it didn't go fast, but it did it quickly. Chirped all the tires and just left the gate. I was like, oh. So after that, I went to the tank trails, which was dirt roads, and practice and learned, you know, how to drive, and got pretty good at it. And then fast forward a couple days, I parked the car in the parking lot, and I set the brake, go inside. Me and my buddy are going to a hookah bar. So, you know, we go outside and I look, and my car's gone. I'm freaking out. I know I parked there. Where's my car? And I look to my left and I see my Jeep. Down from where I parked it, resting on the nicely curled chrome bumper of someone's F-150. It managed to keep a perfectly straight line all the way down the parking lot to pick up enough speed to just smash that F-150's bumper with the solid metal bumper on the Jeep. And I was like, oh great, here we go. So I get in the Jeep, I put it back to where it was, put it in gear this time, and set the brake. I guess the e-brake popped out. And I go into the CQ desk, the person that's on duty at the barracks, and I ask for a piece of paper. I get a piece of paper, and I write a little note, because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit there and wait. I say, hey, this was me. My car rolled down into yours. I'm sorry. Here's my number. At the hookah bar, about 30 to an hour later, I get a call. It's the sergeant who was at the CQ desk. It was their truck that mine hit. And they're all pissed off and freaking out and threatening me with military punishment and all this stuff. And so yeah, I go back to the base and get it handled with insurance, and yeah, that was fine. But learn learn from the issues you face, right? And I got a lot of Jeep stories. So there was another time I had a weekend and I wanted to go four-wheeling. So I was going up in the mountains, and I always like to be prepared with stuff. You never know what's going to happen. So, you know, I brought my e-tool, which is the military shovel, and it wasn't winter, but it was, trying to see, I guess it was getting towards winter time. So it was cold at night. So I brought, you know, some sweatpants and a jacket and some stuff like that, just in case. Well, sure enough, I go through this mud pit that we have been through before, but someone had rolled a giant boulder in there, but it was covered by the mud. So when I go in, this Jeep with no power steering or power brakes hits this giant boulder that's in there, and the wheel just cranks, and I get up on this embankment, the side of this pit. So I'm sitting up on the side of this pit. Well, my bumper, my rear bumper hitch is dug into the ground, and the car stalled, and I'm trying to start it, and it just won't turn over. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying it it felt like forever. Finally, I get the idea. I remember that there's no safety switch on the vehicle. It doesn't have a clutch safety. So I put it in gear, I get out, I lock all the lockers on the wheels, I put it in four-wheel drive low and turn the starter, and sure enough, boom, 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 it crawls out. But by that point, it's pitch black and there's no lights on this mountain road. So I get the idea. I'm just gonna stay the night, which makes sense. You know, I turn the heater on and I put my sweats and my jacket on, and I'm gonna get a few hours of sleep until it's bright enough out. And sure enough, oh, I forgot. So before all this happened, I did the smart thing and I told all my buddies, hey, I'm going up in the mountains. It was a pretty well known trail. People were on it all the time, so it's not like you were ever going to be out there alone for much of a long period of time. But I told my buddies anyways, hey, I should be back at this time. I'll text you. If not, send the search party. And as well, when I got the Jeep out of the hole, it wouldn't start. And someone came up and they towed me, gave me a pull start, and I kept the Jeep running, and that's how I stayed. So anyways, it's getting nighttime, and I had texted my buddies, you know, before, hey, if I'm not back, you know, start to worry. My buddies, people in my platoon, and which I was still new to at this time. And I'm trying to text them frantically, hey, I'm okay. I'm not going to be back tonight. There's no service. I've got a range booster, but it doesn't work. You know, there's no cigarette lighter in the Jeep. And about a couple hours into my sleep, I start hearing helicopters. And I'm thinking, oh no. Did they call somebody? And you know, my eyes are adjusted to the night, the dark, and I'm looking and I start seeing Blackhawks. And I see ropes coming down and dudes rappelling off the ropes. I'm like, oh my God, they called like search and rescue to come find me. And I'm just waiting in my car like they're gonna come up and check the car. That's the first thing they'll do. And then the helicopters disappear. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And it turns out it was just some air assault guys doing training. And nobody called anybody. So I get back, go down the mountain and do all that. And yeah, that was my like wilderness survival. What other Jeep ones we got? Oh, so another fun quirk about that Jeep is it was kind of wired together in someone's backyard. So it had a short somewhere and it would work fine. All the lights and stuff would work. But then after a while, something would short and the turn signals wouldn't work. And we had a long weekend coming up. And before long weekends, they do safety inspections on your vehicles. So my sergeant was there and he kind of knew about the quirks of my Jeep. So he's telling me, all right, going around the rear to check the brake lights. And so as he does that, I reach under the dash and I'm switching fuses around. And he goes, all right, I'm checking the left turn signal, and I plug the fuse in. All right, I'm checking the right turn signal, and I plug the fuse in. All right, your vehicle's good to go. And obviously he knew I wasn't going anywhere in the weekend, you know, that would be too crazy. And I'd be reaching out the window with the Jeep doing hand signals and stuff. It was a fun car. Another time, the sending unit didn't work in the gas tank, so my fuel gauge didn't work. So I usually always carried around a jerry can full of 5 gallons of fuel, and I ran out of gas a couple times. But one time, I thought I had enough fuel, and I was coming back from work, and I didn't. And so one of my sergeants in my platoon saw me, and he had a tow strap on his Raptor, and he hooked it up to the Jeep, and took me all the way back to the gas station. That was a good time. What else? Let's see. Oh, another one from AIT. I packed up to go home on leave, and of course I wanted to look my best, so I wanted to wear my Class A's. And once I got into the airport, I was gonna switch because I wasn't allowed to wear them from the base to the airport, I think. So I get in the airport and I go to switch into my uniform, and I realize I don't have my white shirt to go underneath. So I had a tan t-shirt. And I think I just pulled it down really far so you couldn't see it. But clearly there was no collar for the dress uniform. I'm like, nobody's gonna notice me, nobody's gonna see. And sure enough, I see my instructors there, and they come up to me and they look at me, and my instructors were civilians, and they're like, are you wearing a tan t-shirt under your dress uniform? And I started sweating. I was freaking out, thinking they were gonna snitch on me. I don't remember if they did, but I don't think I got in trouble for it. But thinking back at that now, how silly that was, just to fly back in that uniform instead of my civilian clothes. I don't remember why I didn't change out of it, but oh man. Here's some other ones. So we had this guy, I'm not gonna name people, but he's a good friend, good guy, but he was so goofy. And there was a time he had his phone in his pocket, and in the motor pool there's drains, and they got metal slats on them. And this guy's just got the worst luck. And he bends over to do something. Oh, what did he drop? I think he dropped his glasses in the drain. And he bends over and his cell phone falls in the drain. So now he's got to find a way to get this drain off and reach in there and get his phone. I got a few stories from him. Another one was him showing up to the unit with 2 left boots on because he accidentally packed the other ones or something like that. And then taking the trash out and throwing it in the dumpster, and it catches his glasses and throws them in the dumpster too. So we go out and see him in the dumpster. What are you doing in the dumpster? My glasses fell in the dumpster. What else we got? And now here's some deployment stories. So if you guys know me or knew me back a few years ago, I just could not stay awake. It was just a problem I had. I could never get on a good schedule, so I'd always be sleeping. And I had my spot in the office, and I had one job to do, and it wasn't consistent without going into too much detail. But I'd just be sleeping there, and they'd come over, kick me. Hey, Vinny, get up. It's time to make the donuts. I'd get up, go do my job for about 30 minutes, go back to sleep. Same thing, kick. Hey, wake up. It's time to. And you know what? I killed it. I did a damn good job at that. But man, I just couldn't stay awake. I don't know what it was. Oh man. And then another one I was the fire marshal. So I was in charge of filling up the fire extinguishers, or making sure the fire extinguishers were all filled and serviced and the right dates and stuff. So I did all that. I did my checks. I had a checklist. I went around and checked all the fire extinguishers, all the locations. They were all full. They were good. Coincidentally, that same day, we had a fire at the airport on the runway. And I saw it. The plane landed and accidentally dropped flares, and it caught the base on fire. And this is in the summer in the Middle East, so it's super dry. So I get this fire extinguisher, this 25-pound big thing, and my scrawny little butt is running down the runway with a radio in one pocket and fire extinguisher in my hands. And I put the fire out, before it got too big. and I'm dead. You know, I come back, I call the airfield, tell them the fire's good. I didn't update my log to say that the fire extinguisher was empty. And I had this one sergeant that didn't, he was just always looking for some, I don't know if it was just deployment or what, but he was always just had something he wanted to find, you know, shift wars as they call it. Always want to find something about the other shift that they did wrong so you can show that you're better than them. And he comes in and he checks the log and blah, blah, blah. And he, of course, this is the closest fire extinguisher. He looks and sees it's not full and basically calls me out for lying. And I'm trying to explain to him what happened. He doesn't care. So then I'm out there doing V-ups, basically laying on my back with my legs raised a little with a 25-pound fire extinguisher on my legs. People want to know why you get out of the Army. The same dude, I was having a really good day one day, and I tell him I'm leaving for work, and I'm just, hey, Sergeant, have a fantastic day. You know, I'm having him smiling. It wasn't sarcastic. I was having a good day. And he just looks at me with this puss on his face and tells me, you know, shut the hell up, get down and do push-ups. And I thought he was joking, and then he starts getting mad and getting angry. I'm like, fine, I'm doing push-ups. And until one of my other sergeants could work out with him that figure, you know, they have this unwritten rule that you can't second guess what one sergeant said in front of a subordinate, so they have to take it somewhere. Once he found out, he came outside and told me to get up and leave, you know. Not the one that told me to do push-ups, the nice one. And he's like, you gotta listen, you gotta do what he says, you know, because technically he's, you know, a higher rank than you. Well, that's stupid. Well, that's why I got out of the Army. Stuff like that. And the pay. We also had another guy. He wasn't really good for anything. Wasn't really good at his job. He didn't care. And he was just a burden for when we were doing work. So we put him on guard duty. So I go with one of the guys to pick him up from guard duty. And we're coming back, riding in the back of the Gator. And I look over and his rifle's on fire. And I'm like, dude, why is your rifle on fire? He's like, oh, I must have forgot. He grabbed his rifle away from him, put it on safe, you know, and I go to do checks, I rack it back, and a freaking round pops out of the chamber. So this guy not only had his rifle on fire, ready to kill, he had a bullet in the chamber too. Like, what is wrong with you, man? This is like some basic level stuff. It's just dumb stuff, dumb people, man. You can't fix stupid. You really can't. I don't understand it. It didn't make any sense. I think they ended up taking that guy's rank away too. We also had someone accidentally nuke a mouse. We had one of the guys, we had a microwave in the hangar, and he went to warm up some coffee, and he got called away for a second while after he put his coffee in, and he walks away, and he comes back, shuts the door, starts a microwave, and he starts to hear something, smell something. What the heck? The microwave dings, he opens it up. There's a mouse in there. He had nuked Stuart Little. So we got a ghost mouse in the hangar. And the time he got called away from putting his coffee in there, I guess a mouse crawled in there. And when he came back and slammed the door, it hit the start button, didn't take notice. There was a furry little creature in there. R.I.P. Stuart Little. I'm probably not going to edit this one, but anyways, I hope it was a little bit enjoyable to you guys. That's really all the stories I could think about. This is already going to be like 30 minutes long. So, quarantine day 7. Day 7? Yep, day 7. It's 9 days left. That's all I got for you guys. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.